So welcome to the graduation ceremony of Dasra Social Impact Leadership Program, the pioneering batch. And I'd like to specially welcome Deanna Abdeen, who's the Deputy Principal Officer, Consulate General of the United States, and Mr. Vinay Heber, who's the Managing Director, Asia Pacific of Harvard Business Publishing. May I please request Ms. Abdeen to please address us.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It is an absolute pleasure to be here this evening, really with such a distinguished group of individuals tonight. I want to first of all thank Dasra for inviting me to be a part of this exciting event and Philanthropy Week. Today's guests of honors really are all of you, a diverse group of leaders from across the nonprofit sector. Thank you for all that each one of you does to invest in yourselves and in your communities and in your country. Although you come from different places and backgrounds, the Dasra Social Impact Leadership Program has brought you all together to develop a network of like-minded social actors and hopefully has given you some tools and possibly techniques that you can make your efforts even more effective. This group has the potential to make a significant impact in India's social sector and most importantly, in the lives of your beneficiaries. We know that organizational success depends upon leaders who set forth a clear vision and dedicate themselves to the development of the organization's internal capacity. I think that you'll agree that this holds true whether one is talking about a business, a university, a government entity like the U.S. Consulate here in Mumbai, or in the nonprofit sector. At its core, capacity building refers to investing time and resources in developing the abilities of organizations. This necessarily includes developing the abilities of individuals. I am so very grateful to the organizations of the DSI Leadership Program for the investment in you and by extension in your teams. I imagine that your organizations missed you while you're here at the program. But what they will get back when you return are leaders that I am absolutely confident will be even more capable and effective. So certainly worth the investment. Great organizations require great leadership to make them successful. At times, nonprofits sometimes have concentrated on creating new programs and keeping administrative costs low instead of building the organizational capacity that would make them even more effective. Donors may have made a point of pressing for lower overhead, making the nonprofit even more hesitant to invest in those resources and become sometimes little more than a conduit for the transfer of funds rather than an agent of change with positive, lasting social impact. This misses the chance to groom the social sector leaders of tomorrow. There's no doubt that building organizational capacity in these circumstances is challenging. It is hard to find the funding for long-term development of the nonprofit itself rather than the immediate needs of the beneficiaries and the communities that are served. To put it frankly, it's easier for people and donors to understand tangible results like bricks and mortar than intangibles like capacity and capability. It's an unfortunate trade-off that is often ignored. A McKinsey survey of nonprofit leaders revealed a chronic deficiency in the skills needed for achieving higher success in the sector. This included critical skills like building a great team, creating collaborators, and the ability to innovate. This situation would be almost unimaginable at one of the leading companies or businesses in the United States or India, for instance, and we shouldn't allow it in the nonprofit sector either. Capacity building needs to start with leadership development. Leaderships set the agenda for their organizations enable them to understand challenges, and equip them with the tools to deal with those challenges. Within a hierarchy, a leader doesn't just make decisions for their organizations. A leader gives the vision and leads by example to inspire the rest of the organization. Whether deliberately or just by pure proximity, one effective leader can cultivate the same skill set in others in a multiplying effect. The DSI Leadership Program seeks to deliver the insight, vision, and skills to help expand the potential among leaders in the nonprofit sector. It provides nonprofit leaders, like each of you, with the skills to create sustainable systems and institutions that broaden the impact of the organization. Has it delivered on that ambitious goal? Judging by the enthusiasm tonight, I'm confident that it has. At the last count, there were over 3.3 million NGOs in India. However, I'm told that there are not many scaled up enough to be able to build sustainable institutions. I hope this program will change that for the nonprofits that you will be going to or returning to. We, government, donors, and beneficiaries, are depending on you. There is so much more important work to be done in the areas of maternal and child health in particular, as well as trafficking in persons and sanitation issues. Harnessing the strengths of nonprofit leaders can have incredible influence to transform India's social sector and improve the lives of millions. We, all of us, need you to succeed. If I may leave you with one parting thought, those of us following the US-India relationship see an increasing convergence of interests between our two democracies. We see many possibilities in this new moment in US-India relations, whether in areas of defense cooperation, economic opportunities, women's empowerment, climate change, or work to boost vulnerable communities. As President Obama had said less than 2 months ago, India and the United States are not just natural partners. We are absolutely confident that the United States can be India's best partner. I wish you the very best of luck as you move on from this great experience, and many congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Neera, and I think there might be a few of you back there. And I support and help Dasra. But one of my key roles in this leadership program has been facilitating and supporting this entire class. But before I jump into, oh yeah, that's much. So this is a celebration, yeah? We don't want this to be hugely formal. We want it to be fun. We want all of you that are graduating to be engaged, and friends and family, and Dasra, which are also friends and family. We want this to really be a celebration, so please don't fall asleep. But let's see, where do I begin? So I have to begin with, what is Dasra? Because there's some folks here that may not know who or what we are. But it's a Sanskrit word for enlightened giving, and we've been around for about 16 years. We have a team of 80 people. But over the years, I think now we've grown to really try and nurture powerful partnerships which touch and transform the lives of 800 million people. Now, these kinds of platforms, it must be challenging for you to figure out where that connection is, but it's really through the leaders here. Raise your hands, please. All my leaders. Yes. It's through all of you. Priya, you're not raising your hand. Okay. It's through all of you that we are able to touch and transform millions and millions of lives. And so I wanted to give those of you and those of you in the class who have forgotten an overview of the class. We have 70% women. Pretty amazing. From 14 different cities in 5 different sectors, which pretty much covers everything from education, livelihoods, health, environment, agriculture. And so you must know that our conversations and discussions in class were invigorating from all different aspects, including from people coming from different sectors. And then we actually had 33% of our class who have been graduates of the Dasra Social Impact Accelerator Program. Yes. So some of the best and the brightest alumni from the Accelerator Program are in this leadership program. And so I want to take you back to our first day. We started I don't know if you remember, May 15th, 2014, in the American School of Bombay, me being extremely nervous to stand in front of you, and I still am, a little less, but stand in front of you, and we had another facilitator, which you guys killed. We continued to try to bring other facilitators, which you continued to kill, and I am barely standing here today. But we started May 15th. We had 4 very exciting modules. One was around strategy, and so the whole leadership program is all built around leadership being at the core. The first module was around strategy, second being around talent, the third being around branding and communications, and the fourth being around sustainability. But at the core of all these 4 was, what is your role as a leader in the organization to align strategy with its talent? How does your leadership relate to the brand your organization is building? And how is it going to make your organizations sustainable? I wanted to remind you of the cases that you said you got the most learning from. So remember Shackleton climbing up Mount Everest? You remember Cirque du Soleil, Canadian amazing company that builds circuses? Sometimes you feel like your organization's a circus. Starbucks, very inspiring leadership, coffee around the world, remember that? And most recently, HCL, where we beamed in beneath Nair. So before I go into the last part of welcoming you all and celebrating, I wanted to thank the team that's tirelessly working from Dasra's side for the last, I think it's been about 11 months. So I'm going to ask them to stand. Before you clap, wait. I'm going to ask them to stand. It takes all of Dasra to execute pretty much everything we do, but there's a few folks for which this is, their core. And so I want to ask Megha, Kavneet, Rebecca, Liz, Tushar to stand up. Yay. The last part of our module, which was around legacy and sustainability, and we brought in these Aspen readings, so both being an alumni of both Harvard Business School myself, as well as a fellow of the Aspen Institute, a lot of the motivation for the curriculum here has simply come from my prejudice of believing that this kind of learning should be an opportunity for everyone. And so we squeezed in these Aspen readings at the end of, at the end of the module. And the last few readings were about what's your legacy and how do you see yourselves leaving a mark? And pretty much 100% of the class said, we really don't care about leaving a mark. But I think thinking through what values you have and the beliefs that you have and how that drives your leadership was some very strong conversation we had, and I think it had an impact on all of us. And so in the last few minutes that I have, I'm going to leave you with these 2 poems, which we read towards the end of the module, and I'm sure some of you, other than the class, may have heard this. They're 2 poems, Ozymandias by Percy Shelley, which was about King Tut, and then Frederick Douglass by Robert Hayden. And we merged both of these poems to really speak to what some of us might or might not see the blend of our own legacy and sustainability. So bear with me through this poem. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all, when it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action, when it is finally one, and when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. This man, superb, this Douglas, this former slave, this Negro beaten to his knees, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, and alien. And on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. But with the lives grown superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered. Oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. But with the lives grown out of his life, the lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful and needful thing. That's it.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Aparna, and this is Jacob, and we're proud, honored, and privileged to be standing in front of you today, representing the most incredible cohort that we've ever been a part of. The graduating cohort of Dasra Social Impact Leadership Program 2015.
Promises to keep and miles to go before we sleep. Well, when the first cohort of Dasra Leadership Program got together, not only did most of us not know how many miles we had to walk, but we also didn't know which direction we had to walk in. But one thing was certain, amongst us was an amazing, absolutely rock star bunch of men and women. Most of us deal with what are called wicked problems, and we do it with ultra frugality. We need to be design thinkers, business strategists, and be deeply empathic while we do that. Most of us work at the ecosystemic level. We do the difficult thing because it is the right way to do the things we need to do. Our beliefs, or why we do what we do, drive our values, or how we do what we do, and define and shape our actions or what we do.
While we came in with our own positions and our own experiences from our organizations, the Dasra team and Harvard Business School took us on a tour of the world, from eBay to Ernest Shackleton, from circuses in Canada to schools in Rajasthan. They curated the best of leadership lessons and fed it back to us to make us better leaders. But we're a very challenging class, and we pushed back at them and truly gave Neera many, many sleepless nights. But they responded even more brilliantly, coming back with peer cases, creating spaces for us to learn from each other in a safe environment where we could really delve deep within ourselves to find the challenges that plagued us and try and come up with some solutions that was common to all of us. Through the process of Berkman, which all of us learned first through Randy's videos and did not understand anything, we finally understood to discover our strengths and play to them under the guidance of Berkwoman Lynn. And through the process of Dalberg, we set our goals and we continue to track them, hopefully even after this program is over. But to me and to all of us in this cohort, this past year has been a period of profound personal transformation, from the leaders we were when we came in to the leaders that we now choose to be. We are indeed the class of transformers as we take forward with us this process of transformation, not only into our organizations, but into the communities that we work, and finally into the world at large. Because I truly believe in the words of Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small, committed group of people working together can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has."
It also takes a few people to move these multipliers into multiplying. And here I'd like to mention Neera and Devil, especially Neera, who, in addition to looking after 3 small children, took on the job of looking after 35 not so small children. And I'm sure that every day when she went back home, it was a relief to be away from those 35 10-year-olds, kicking up havoc. as part of the course and as part of what we've learned how to do numbers. So here are some numbers about the course. We were 35 in the cohort, 39 actually when we started. We spent 20 days together, and we had 4 sleep-in partners. We shared rooms, you see. We knocked off, I think, 3 bottles of whiskey, 6 bottles of vodka, 5 bottles of rum. And after that, we formed 60 partnerships. We just counted yesterday, and Neera wrote it on the board. And amongst us, we formed 60 partnerships. And I think these are going to be huge multipliers. So that was 3 partnerships a day. Not bad.
This year that we've spent with all of you, my fellow classmates, this year that we've built these partnerships which we hope to take forward, this year that has meant so much for all of us, actually fills me with the courage to imagine as I stand in front of you. To imagine a world where there is equal opportunity for all, a life of dignity that anyone can access. To imagine a world where people live together in harmony not only with one another, but also with nature and environment around us. And dare I say it, to imagine a world where each of our work individually and as a sector slowly but surely becomes redundant in the times to come.
So, in the words of John Lennon, if we manage to do what we set out to do, well, you can imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion to. Imagine all the people living in peace. Imagine no possessions. We wonder if you can. Here I'm changing it slightly. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man and woman. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say that we are all dreamers, but we're not the only ones here. I hope, or rather we hope, someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. And we end it with our rally call, Jumongous.